Hello, this is John Solider with our third podcast on Leave Nothing to Chance. And we have both a very dear friend of mine, an industry legend, an icon in the network marketing field, who's also been an entrepreneur, frankly, outside of network marketing and had some success there as well. He's a world traveler. There's very few places in the world he hasn't been, hasn't done network marketing at, or at the very least visited. So, Jeff Weisberg, welcome to the call, my friend.
Thank you, Dr. Solider.
Good to see you, and love the backdrop there. I know you're living in beautiful Sarasota, Florida, and I'm a little envious, especially this time of year when I'm in Dallas and it doesn't know one day whether it's winter or summer. But what are you going to do?
We got to get you out here sooner than later.
I'm coming. I'm coming. I love the beach, but hey, listen. Today we got some things to talk about that are relevant. Like myself, you've been doing network marketing and entrepreneurship now for how many years?
Been involved in network marketing for a little over three and a half decades, and started as an entrepreneur when I was 19, and I'm 60. So a long time.
40 plus years. Well, still going. And I know you got a remarkable lifestyle that we'll probably talk about a little bit here today. But hey, let's start at the top. My fourth book, Leave Nothing to Chance, came out recently. I know that you've read it, and I know you've were impacted by a couple of the different principles in there. But is there one that grabs you in particular that you'd like to talk about?
I don't know if there's one particular. I think, the first one about wake up excited. I agree. How you start your day is how you finish your day. If you wake up in a bad mood, the wrong side of the bed, as people say, that could be an issue. So I've always been a believer in, start the day good, have the right attitude, get up on the right side of the bed versus the wrong side of the bed. Another chapter you have in there is mindset, like you, all about personal growth and development. The personal growth comes, like Jim Rohn would say, before the fortune, or as our co-mentor Larry Thompson would say, for things to change, you got to change. For things to get better, you got to get better. So I think mindset's big. And then the last one might be, not that any of them are in that order, but the last one is about, showing love for others. I mean, being involved in network marketing, if you don't care about helping people grow and build, you're not going to grow and build. It's one thing if I'm selling a widget as a person that doesn't really mean anything, versus helping people with our product or service, or helping people grow their business. If you don't like people, it's hard to work with them. And to be successful in network marketing, especially, your report card is based on how many people you help. So I think that principle is important. I mean, all of them are great. I think, probably of all of them, if I had to pick the three that I like the most, probably would be number one is waking up every day. Because if you're in the right mindset, if your attitude's good, if you feel good physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, your day's going to be good. And the people you're around, you're going to be more of an energy giver than an energy sucker, as we say. There's two kinds of people. You walk into a room, they either suck the energy right from you, or you walk into a room and they light you up like you're on all kinds of psychedelics. And so it all starts in the morning.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's that old expression in Latin, right? Carpe diem, right? Seize the day, you know. And I know, like myself, you get up early. I know you like to train in the morning and get your workout going, and I know that's a big part of your day as well. So, but just give everybody an idea. So, you shared with me the other day a little bit about, your normal day now. If it's Monday, you're doing what in the morning?
Well, it's kind of changed. I'm not an early riser like you. I get up after the sun. You get up way before the sun.
Always
Uh,
have.
I've never had a job. I know people laugh at that. I dropped out of college to get involved in network marketing. I got into the Amway business at 19. So I've always been my own boss, and I've always had to employ myself. We could talk about some different concepts and books later, but I always felt in the morning, because I'm not a morning person, that I got to wake up slow, get my prayers, my gratitude going, and work out in the morning. Because if I don't work out mornings, I'm not going to get it done in the afternoon or evening. I just know myself. So what I've done now that I've been living in Sarasota is, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll go to the gym. Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, we'll bike ride on the beach, because we live on the beach. As you can see, it's, it's a walk out of our condo about 100 meters from the beach. And now I got into pickleball. I know you're going to laugh at that. But I got into pickleball. So a bunch of us get together and play pickleball on Saturday. So I try to every day do something I turned 60 this year, and I just think that, if you're going to live another 30, 40 years, 50 years, even maybe, you never know, knock on wood, you got to take care of your health first, your mind and your spiritual, and then everything else comes after that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That sounds like a great lifestyle, to say the very least, Jeff. So let's go back, though. Let's go back to a young Jeff Weisberg, 19, 20, 21 years old. You're getting influenced about network marketing, self-employment, working for yourself, everything that you just mentioned here. What was the first book that you read that had a strong impact on you, and why?
When I got into the Amway business at 19, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, I got into Toastmasters, and that was a book they recommended, and Amway recommended it because it was very personal growth. Back then, it was not as much reading as it would be. We had cassette tapes. I know you don't remember what those are. But that was the first book I read. And again, network marketing, you're in the people business. And it was probably the first book by far that had, a business mental kind of book that had an impact on me. And I got into reading, but then I kind of got more lazy into the books on tape. Now you got things like Audible and everything. So I literally have I have a handful of books still now, but most of them are here on Kindle. I can read them wherever I am, and I also can listen to them. And it's, if you're at the gym, for example, you talk Monday, Wednesday, Friday, when I'm at the gym, I either have a book on tape or a podcast like this going on. And again, when you're doing downtime, it's maybe hard to pull a book out, but you definitely could listen to it. You're driving in the car. Learned early in my career, turn your automobile into a university. Instead of listening to music, listen to personal growth. So again, books on tape. Well, they don't call them books on tape anymore, but one thing you always taught me, you and Charlie Tremendous Jones, readers are leaders. So there's always something you can learn. I mean, now, obviously, as you know, John, you got the internet, you can find something out in a second. You got Google on your phone. It's easy to read anything. I don't care if it's articles in the paper. I don't care if it's magazines. I don't care if it's books. The more you learn, the better. And today you could literally get a college degree with far more information off your phone than you could go to a library.
Absolutely. And you make a great point. All leaders are readers and all readers are leaders. Isn't it interesting how that works both ways? But you're absolutely right. And yeah, I'm doing the same thing. I'm on the treadmill at the gym. I got a podcast going all the time of a number of different people, and all because you're training. What better time to be feeding the brain while you're feeding the body? So let's talk a little bit more about this subject, Jeff. Because I find it fascinating that, interviewing people like yourself and so many other interesting people that have been successful in life, that every one of them reads. So let's go to your all-time 3 books besides the Bible. Okay, the 3 books that you cannot live without. You put them in your briefcase when you travel. They're always somewhere close to you. What would be those 3 books?
Well, the first one just actually came out. It's Millionaire Training. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe that now you can see it. You're on the book on the cover. I'm in the book. Many friends of ours are in the book. These principles in this book, I didn't read early. I listened on a cassette tape, Millionaire Training. Now, Larry Thompson, one of the co-founders of Herbalife and the guy that developed the Millionaire Training, put it into a book with all of our stories in here. But by far, that was something I listened to over and over and over again. Now it's in a book. Listen to it, read it, listen to it, read it, because it's available now. Another book, I just happen to pull some of them here for you. The Greatest Sale. I don't know if you can see that. Greatest Salesman. There you go. In the world. By a guy that most people probably in the personal growth have heard of, Og Mandino. Excellent book. Just again, a lot of these books are business focused, but you can learn life lessons from it. Millionaire Training, for example. I was a single dad raising my sons from the ages of 4.5 and 6. And a lot of things I learned in Millionaire Training were not just about network marketing or business. They were about life, like how to employ yourself. That's about life. About procrastination. That's about life. About mindset. That's about life. The film and the projector. That's about life. And so a lot of these things that you get out of books are maybe geared for one niche, but it hits several parts of your life. And so, I've been blessed. I was all about lifestyle. And I guess I've been blessed where I was able to raise my sons because of our industry, travel, like you said, I've been to 51 countries, taking them with me. Even you and I have been to several together with some great stories, but probably
Sure.
shouldn't be on this podcast. Um, and because of this industry and because of what I was able to learn as somebody who dropped out of college, I was fortunate. So I think you got to keep the mind going. Another book you might have seen before, Moving Up 2020, little plug for Dr. John Solider. It's a great book, what you've done. I had a little bit of part in it on building internationally. But again, some of the concepts you can use for personal, for business, and for life. And another book, I don't want to get political at all, but a lot of people know about Robert Kiyosaki. The other guy next to him, people might have heard of, Donald Trump, pre-presidential, The Midas Touch, great book about, and I love the tagline, why some entrepreneurs get rich and why most don't. And it's kind of funny because they're two different people. One's Trump, the name, flamboyant, the whole thing. Art of the Deal, as people probably know him. And then you got Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, his rich dad, friend, his real dad, poor dad, education versus, business, cash flow quadrant. But I think this was a great book as well. And it had some interesting things in it from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So, I mean, there's been a lot of other books. Everybody talks about Think and Grow Rich, of course, Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. But I just think that I've tried to get books that, you might tell me, Jeff, you might check this book out because it's a great book. You were telling me now with this whole quest that you're on about eating, plant-based and everything, David Wolf, and a book to take a look at. And so there's just a lot of different things I try to read. And I believe self-education is far better than, college education, because you can pick and choose what you want and focus on what's important to you. So you're not spending a bunch of time on things that aren't. And again, now with technology, John, you can find out anything right here that any doctor, lawyer, accountant, or engineer can find out literally in seconds, and read about it and learn. There's no excuse. YouTube is not reading per se, it's videos, it's watching. But if you want to learn how to put a bike together, you could read a book, for example, or you could watch a video. And with technology today, you and I didn't grow up with this, but technology today, there's zero excuse for people not to find out anything about everything they want in multiple languages, cultures, at the split second of when they want it, not having to go to a library. Or when I was a kid, my parents had the World Book Encyclopedia.
Mm-hmm.
They spent thousands of dollars on these, these nice fancy books, and they're on the shelf. And you had to get a renewal every year because it updated all the information. I look at that today and I'm like, could you imagine waiting a year to see what's going to happen from 2020? Where now it's a year, a day sometimes is too long. So for people out there that are not readers, do it on, on Audible, and just make it part of your daily ritual. We learned early in our career, read 5 pages a day, read 10 pages a day. Don't try to read a book. Sit down and read 5, 10 pages a day, because you'll do that every day. You're not sitting down and reading a book every day. And even now, John, there's some softwares you can download on your phone where books will be like the Cliff Notes version.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you'll take a book like yours, it's 205 pages, but maybe I don't have the time to read this book. So somebody's already read it and somebody's taken it and collapsed it into maybe 10, 12, 15 pages and taken all the meat and potatoes out of your book, and boom, I got it right now. And literally thousands of books have done that. So, with what you're doing with this whole, readers, leaders concept and the book clubs and everything, I think it's the greatest thing around there.
Well, thank you. And hey, all that information that you just gave, absolutely. And it used to be, when we were kids anyway, that the statistics were that 3% of people had library cards and 3% of the people were wealthy. Well, there's the same 3%. Well, I don't know if they were the same exact 3%, but I'm going to bet that people like Dr. Ben Carson, for example, who grew up going to the library, or Dr. Michael Greger, who was huge in the nutrition world, those were guys, when you read about them, they talk about, their grandmothers and their mothers taking them to the library, just leaving them for hours. And they just, pick a book off the shelf and start reading it. And wow, they both have had amazing careers as two of many examples like that. So let me ask you this, Jeff. What are you reading now? What's on your bookshelf or on your coffee table as we speak?
Well, I was reading your book, and also, like I said, the Millionaire Training book, going through the stories. We've known each other a long, long time. I think we met in 92, 3, 4.
Yeah, 92.
So that's 28 years ago. And yet when I read your chapter in the book, you learn things that I didn't even know. And when I'll read chapters about other people in the book from what they learned from Millionaire Training, you learn that type of thing as well. I think with your Moving Up book, another great example. I mean, there's tidbits you can use again about network marketing, but even some of the stuff in the book, because things are evolving so much. The greatest salesman in the world is something that's never going to get old, or Think and Grow Rich, or How to Win Friends and Influence People. Things like this are evolving books. That's why you've done a couple of different editions, because, with technology, things are changing. But, like our mentor, Larry Thompson, taught us, concepts stay constant, techniques change. The things that are in a book like The Greatest Salesman in the World, or even your new book now, Nothing to Change, those principles are going to stay the same. The techniques and the way they're used, like some of the stuff in here, that might change, but the concepts are going to stay the same. And so, and now I've kind of got big into podcasts. Like I said, I'll make sure that I'm either listening to a podcast, several guys I like with a lot of information. I might want to get into health and wellness with like a Ben Greenfield. I might want to listen to Lewis Howes, who's interviewed over 1,000 people on his podcast. He's kind of like the modern day Larry King.
Mm-hmm.
I like Gary Vaynerchuk and some information he has. I'm a big Tony Robbins fan, Grant Cardone. So I try to get, a little mixture of everything. Some of the stuff that, David Wolf, that you turned me on to, because he's an interesting guy.
Yeah, he is. It's an understatement.
It's pretty cool stuff as well. So, I love, again, I always wanted to be a doctor. The only problem was I hated school. So the thought of 4 years of college and 4 years of medical school was never going to happen. So I love doing research on, health and nutrition and this whole stuff that's going on now with COVID and everything, and just, reading, and it doesn't have to be a book on it. There's articles, there's all kinds of things you can do.
Exactly. So let's digress a little bit another way here. You've been in the industry a long time. You've been successful in a multiple number of companies over the last almost 40 years. How do you get a new distributor off to a flying start? Because there's so many new people that are starting in the industry as we speak. And a lot of them are young. And a lot of them are people who, just like you and I, way back when we started, we're coming out of the Carter administration here in the US with, high inflation and ridiculous interest rates. There wasn't a lot of opportunity. Today, network marketing is being identified by a lot of young people in particular, but you also have a lot of people that, because of the pandemic, have lost jobs, lost businesses in some cases. And, maybe they're our age, they're in their, late 50s, early 60s, and they're looking at this for the first time and saying, hey, I never thought I would, but boy, I better get myself a plan B here. And gee, I hope I'm going to go back to work, but maybe I never will. And either way, I need to get that plan B going. So how do you get them off to a flying start? First, 2 days, first 2 weeks, first month, et cetera. Any advice that you have for new people listening to us?
Well, I think what you're saying is true. I think now, because of this COVID situation, I think people definitely are focused on their health, not just saying it, but definitely focused on it, because everybody's freaking out about catching COVID. So you build your system up, you're going to feel better. People are focused on their health. Maybe instead of going to Starbucks and spending $3-4 a day, I'll put that into my nutrition regimen. And I think without a doubt, people are focused on their money now more than ever, because either A, they've lost a job, or B, their company's gone out of business and they're waiting for some kind of check, or they're on unemployment, and they realize, like you just said, a plan B is definitely probably a plan B plus more than anything. So I think the market space with this whole gig economy and everything is bigger than ever. But, with me now, because there's so many companies out there, I believe that you got to be a product of your product, or a product of your service. I think that there's so many products out there, so many different services out there, that if you don't believe in what you're marketing, then you're never going to make it long term. Too many people get into the business just on the money and the hype, and their friend calls them, or the opportunity, or they don't want to miss out, but they don't even believe in the product or use the product. It doesn't matter. Long term, raving fan customers. You got to be you got to be a raving fan. You got to believe in yourself. It'd kind of be like if I called you up and said, John, I just got involved in a new opportunity. I'm all excited about. I've been using the product. It's a hair growth company. Well, you'd look at me and you'd say, yeah, okay, Jeff. I got really no interest because obviously the product doesn't work. But if 6 months from now I saw you and my hair looked like yours after you tried to pull it off to see if I bought it or not. And I said, John, remember that, drink I told you helps grow hair? You'd buy it by the container. So you got to be a product of the product. That's number one. And getting people started. Number two is people got to have goals. I think they got to have a money goal, how much they want to make over different periods of time. Call it 90 days, 180 days, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. They got to have a time goal because it's going to take time. It's network marketing. It takes work. And I think they got to have a time goal. Am I going to put in 5 hours a week? Am I going to put in 25 hours a week? What time am I going to put in? And then they got to have target goals. So, goal of I want to make 1,000 a month is different than a target goal where I'm going to talk to 5 people a day, or I'm going to get 1 customer a week, or I'm going to recruit 2 distributors a month, whatever those targets are. And I think you got to make sure that they're focused on what we learned about called income producing activities. We get paid for doing 2 things, John, in our industry. I don't care if you're John Solider, the legend, or you're the brand new person. We get paid for talking to people about our product or service, and we get paid for talking to people about the opportunity. Anything else you do is not an income producing activity. Now, that doesn't mean I talk to you about the business and you get in. Now I got to help you get started. But what am I talking to you about? The product and the opportunity. And so income producing activities has always been an issue because people think they got to learn more to do more. I got to go to this seminar. I got to go here. I got to go there. I got to learn everything. No, you got to go do. You can read all the books in the world about how to do network marketing, but if you don't call anybody up, you're not going to make any money. So you could know the business better than anybody. Like we all know how to become Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're an example. You're in the gym every day. Anybody in the world can read, like we talked about how to be Arnold, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't go do. A challenge we got in network marketing today is people are learning and reading, but they're not doing. How did you become a legend? You didn't build an organization with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people by not talking to anybody. You talk to thousands of people, whether they're your people or your people's people. So income producing activities is we got to talk to people about our product or service. We got to talk to people about our opportunity. And then the last thing is simplicity. Keep it simple. You look at the number 1 franchise of all time in the world is McDonald's, and it's run by 18 to 22-year-olds. How is that possible? Because they got a simple system. I mean, even look at the uniforms. They're adjustable because they know the turnover rate is going to be so big, but they've got a system that they plug me, the 18-year-old, into, and I just do it. And if it doesn't work, they get the next 18 or 20-year-old to do it because it's simple systems. You don't have to get a PhD in how to make a hamburger, and so simplicity is the best because, again, like you and I have both done, we've built our organizations in more than one country. Well, if you're going to go from the United States to Mexico, or you're going to go from the United States to Germany, or you're going to go from the United States to Japan, and you barely speak the language, and we built in a lot of countries where we don't speak the language. I mean, I barely speak English. Okay. And so when you go to these other markets, if you got this fancy, sophisticated system and you can barely communicate, it's never going to work. But if it's use the products, talk to people, keep it simple, set a handful of basics done over and over and over again. You can be in Siberia, you could be in Dallas, Texas, you could be in Sarasota, Florida, you could be in Tokyo, Japan, you could be anywhere, and you could build your business. Now, that doesn't mean when you get off this podcast, you start calling your friends in all these countries. No, work local, think global, but keep it simple.
Great, man. That's great advice. So let's go on to a couple other things, Jeff. You and I have known each other a long time. Count you as one of my closest 5 friends in the world, which I'm not sure if that's an honor or not, but you and I have been buddies a long time, and we have been around the world. And part of this podcast is to share with people some of the experiences. And for example, okay, I know we laugh about it, but Jeff was one of the first people in the industry that ever owned a company. We owned part of a company in Israel a number of years ago. This is back in the late 1990s or mid 1990s.
5 and 6.
Wow, was it that? Wow, we are
Six,
getting old.
96,
Okay,
7.
96. Okay, so he brought me over to do some consulting and to work on some media stuff and things for him. So I was living over there, and he tells me one morning, "I'm buying part of a soccer team." And I said, "We know nothing about soccer, and even to this day, I don't know anything about soccer. Maybe you do at this point, Jeff." But anyway, tell that story a little bit about your purchase of I think it was called Hapoel Jerusalem, that you became a partial owner. Tell that story because you were ahead of your time. At that point, it was only Rich DeVos who owned the Orlando Magic from our industry who had ever invested in a pro sports team. So you may have been the second guy. You may not. Maybe there were others, but to my knowledge, anyway, you were the second guy. So comment on that a little bit.
That was pretty fun. Well, we had a company over there marketing the American Eagle gold bullion coins, which, I mean, gold back then was, I don't know, $300 an ounce. You see what it's done now. It was a direct sales company, and I was approached by some of the people to be a sponsor, my partners and I, to be a sponsor of one of the top soccer teams in Israel. I mean, again, let's put things in proper perspective. You know, it's not like buying, the LA Galaxy like Herbalife did or something. But actually, if you think about the LA Galaxy, they're the sponsor. So every jersey that everybody wears says Herbalife on it. So we were going to be the sponsor of it, and we did that. And then the owner needed some money, and he said, would you have an interest in, buying into part of the team? Well, I'm thinking soccer, biggest sport in the world. Like you said, I knew nothing about it. I still know nothing about it. And so we bought in part of the 20% of it, and we were the official sponsors and part owners of the team. And it was pretty interesting. I mean, you remember we were going into the arena and pulling into the tunnels and, sitting with all the big shots, and, it was kind of interesting. And, just being in our industry of network marketing, or even being an entrepreneur, there's so many opportunities, and doors open up when you really focus on things. You talk about reading books and everything, but I'm kind of real into energy, and what you focus on grows, and the law of attraction. And we've got a vibration. Everything we do in life has vibration. And, you can sit here and focus on what's not working, or focus on what will work. I learned in Amway early in my career by one of the top speakers one day. He said, most people focus on the how-to. They need to focus on the why. If you focus on the why, the how-to will come. So if you set the goal out there, and Grant Cardone now is taking it to the next level with 10X. If you want to make 10 grand a month, 10X it. You want to have 500 distributors, 10X it. But his whole thing is exactly what we learned way back when, in 1979 and 80, was that, you focus on the what you want, your why, you'll figure it out. Energy, things will happen. And when we were in Israel, I was never thinking of the team or anything like that. And it just, things happen when you open your mind and you imagine these things. And, again, it comes from feeding your mind. It comes from waking up in the morning, like your first principle, wake up with the mindset. If you wake up with the right mindset, things happen. And so that kind of evolved in Israel. And it was definitely a time, and it's 20 something years later. And every time we talk about it, we crack up with all the stories. And I remember when you were telling me about Ronaldo, I didn't even know who Ronaldo was. And you were telling me, why don't we just tell him at a press conference that you're going to bring Ronaldo to Israel? And I did that. So here's what you got to be careful for those of you listening. Watch what your friends tell you to do without doing a little bit of research. So I got no idea who Ronaldo is. And we're having a press conference, and they're all, because I'm the guy from the United States, and Israel's a small country, but a very rich country. And John says to me, tell them we're going to bring Ronaldo to Israel. So we got this press conference. I tell them we're going to bring Ronaldo to Israel. Next thing I know, I'm in the newspaper in the next couple of days more than Bibi Netanyahu, who's still the prime minister now, was in the newspaper. If you remember, I must have a stack like this of being quoted in pictures, and we even have a couple of pictures of you and I standing together that the media took that was all over the place. It was hysterical.
It was something else. And I think that's when I came up with the line, to my knowledge, besides Rich DeVos, you're the only network marketing company owner that actually owns part of a sports team. And of course, since then, Art Williams bought the Tampa Bay Lightning, and of course, Herbalife, as you say, and Advocare, and one of the other Utah companies that's escaped me right now. That they're all sponsors of professional soccer here in the U.S., which is really, really smart, obviously, because it gets their name out there to audiences from all different cultures that see their name and say, well, what's that? So real good. But you were ahead of your time, my boy. You were ahead of your time. But that was very fun. We spent some time together in Europe also. I know we spent some time in the Netherlands together, and Germany. I think we spent some time, and we may have even met up in England at one point. I think you and I were in the UK at the same time when I was living over there in the early, well, yeah, it could have been the early 90s, but at some point I know we crossed paths over there. And of course, we went to India together to do some business. So you want to comment on any of those trips and some of our cultural experiences?
Well, part of it I can, part of it I can't, obviously. Some of the things.
The parts that my kids and your kids can hear.
Yeah, the things that you taught me. No, it's amazing. I mean, when you think about it, we went to India, and the business gives you an opportunity. We went to India, and it was, you're going all the way to India. It's 2000. So again, there's not cell phones and Zoom and Facebook. And, it's only 21 years ago. It was December of 2000. And no, excuse me. It was December of 2001. And so almost 20 years ago. And, we go fly all the way to India. And we get there and we're wondering, like, come on, are people going to be here? They were lining up outside. You remember in New Delhi? We went to Hyderabad. We went to Ahmedabad. We went to the Taj. We were doing events. I mean, for those of you that want a quick, funny story, I mean, I'm 6'4", 2.25. John's 6'2" or 3, 250 or 60. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movies of a rickshaw, but it's these little, whatever you call them, deals with the dude with the little, like, a 3-wheel motorcycle in front. So that's how you get around, kind of as a taxi. The two of us get into a rickshaw, and because we're so big, it weighted down. The front end of the motorcycle was up in the air. The guy couldn't even drive us because we were so big and heavy. And most people in India are smaller, and we look like King Kong. And it was just so funny. I mean, we had a blast. The people were so nice. We went to a wedding. I still have the hat that you wear as a groom in the wedding. And we went to people's homes. And I mean, just experiences that you read about or dream about, we've been able to do. I mean, we're in Thailand. We were in India. We really hit India. We were there, 2 weeks?
Yeah, at least.
Traveling everywhere, and you just see a whole different world. I mean, obviously Europe's a little different. We spent time in Europe together, and had some crazy times there. And, network marketing gives you an opportunity to do some amazing things. It's not really all about the money. When you look at your different principles, number 9, is caring about people. To me, it's not the money, it's what you become in the process, and the relationships. We happened to meet because we got involved in a company same time through one of our mentors, Larry Thompson. But the people you meet, I mean, you have lifelong relationships, and you find out when people get married, they have kids, they grow up. It's mind-boggling, and so. We've had some funny times. I mean, India, Thailand, Europe, Israel, had some amazing times, plus even around the United States.
Exactly. So one of the things, and you're making a great point, because I know we're having a lot of fun, and we've had a lot of fun times together over the years. We had a lot of laughs. We had a few cries too, unfortunately, a few sad times, unrelated to the business, really more on a personal level. But at the end of the day, one of the things that stands out as I look back on our career together, okay, and the time that we've worked together, spent together, when we were in India. I don't know if you remember this or not. I think the fellow's name was Muhammad, but I might be wrong. But we were invited to his home, and I'm Christian, Jeff is Jewish, and this gentleman happened to be very Muslim. And his mom made us dinner. And the way that they would eat is with their hands. They would sit on the floor and eat with their hands. Now, very nice business guy. So he prepared our food, obviously, where we weren't going to eat with our hands. His mom prepared a separate, not the same meal, but a separate meal for us that she gave us on plates, and we sat at a table. And we just had a beautiful evening, as I recall. And to me, when I look back, one of the things that network marketing has done for me, and probably for you, and probably for a lot of our colleagues and friends, is it's bridged those gaps with people where maybe people that you never would have met in your life that are of different cultures, different faiths, different orientations. That stands out to me. It's one of my great memories of our industry and our many travels together. If you want to comment on that, Jeff, and we'll start to wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, India was amazing, just the different cultures. We went to a couple people's houses. We went to that doctor's house too. And then we went to that, the wedding thing. It was pretty, you meet cultures, whether you go to a foreign country or not, it gives you an opportunity to learn all about the culture. Again, it's one thing to read about it. It's another thing to be there. Israel is the Mecca for a lot of different religions, and people go for different reasons, and to spend time there is amazing. And so, I guess what I could say about network marketing is that if somebody's new looking to get involved in it, it can be far more than just a business. It can be far more than just a product or service. It could be a lifestyle, and you don't have to become a mega gazillionaire. My dad used to tell me, we were just talking about this before the call, you don't have to be a millionaire to live like a millionaire, meaning that the guy who makes $10,000 a minute is no more happy or successful than the guy that makes $10,000 a month, just as an example. Once you've got your debts paid or you're debt free, and once you've got money put away, then everything else is just like Monopoly, because the lifestyle and the experiences and the relationships, to me, are far more important than 17 cars, 15 yachts, and 27 jets.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, it's the relationships that are going to make a difference and give you fulfillment, not how many Rolex watches you have. I'm not saying don't have nice cars, don't have nice clothes, this or that, but traveling to me was always something I wanted to do. My dad used to tell me, I grew up in Los Angeles, there's more to life than the San Fernando Valley. And he got me to go to Israel when I was in high school on a 9-week program. He said, "You want a car?" He kind of bribed me. He doesn't like when I tell this story, but I wasn't going to go. He goes, "Well, you want a car?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "You're going to go to Israel." So I went, didn't want to go, changed my life. From that point on, I wanted to travel the world. And so to me, if you said, "Jeff, would you rather spend $100,000 on a fancy car, or would you rather spend $100,000 and travel the world?" I'd rather spend the $100,000 travel the world. Sure. Some people would be happy staying where they live and driving the fancy car. But it gives you an opportunity to have options, and you can pick what options you want. And what we're talking about now with these stories, I mean, we could sit here and talk about cars we've had, or a watch we've had, or this or that, but who cares? You're not remembering that. You're remembering the crazy times. You're remembering the fun times. You're remembering the moving times. You remember the relationships. And India will be a trip I'll never forget. And, Israel will be a trip I'll never forget. Tulsa will be a trip I'll never forget. I mean, Europe, it's the magic moments that I think really people talk about, but it's the magic moments. And now with this COVID situation, John, it's totally changed my mindset, because it could be over in a minute. I mean, people are getting sick, going to a hospital. You're never seeing loved ones again. And we have some mutual friends that have passed in the last 6 months from COVID and other things that have been caused by that. And I mean, life is this short. And at the end of the day, you need to enjoy every minute. And your book starts up with waking up with the right mindset. It'll change your life forever. It'll change your life forever.
I think of those experiences, and I think of one other that was unique for me. We went to a Seder dinner. I think we were in Tel Aviv. We may have been in Jerusalem. I don't really remember, but we went to a Seder dinner. And, because of network marketing, here's a guy grows up in New Jersey, in my case, and, had the same ambitions you did. I knew there was a world beyond New Jersey and New York. Okay. And I'll never forget having this Seder dinner, one of the best meals I think I've ever had in my entire life, by the way. I mean, it was unbelievable, the food. I can't eat like that anymore, but it was remarkable. But I remember that. And you, of course, were with me. It was one of your distributors that had hosted that night. And it just, remarkable experience again. And that's really, when we talk about network marketing, we talk about great products, we talk about great compensation, we talk about all that. But to Jeff's point, it's the lifestyle, it's the relationships, it's the fact that if you do this right, and someday this COVID thing is going to be over, thank God, hopefully sooner than later, but we're going to get back to traveling, where you go, hey, I'm going to this city, and you know that you have a friend there that you can pick up the phone. Maybe they're in another company. Maybe you haven't talked to them in 10 years. Say, hey, I'm going to be in town doing a meeting for a couple of days. Let's get together and have a cup of coffee. And, it's just a remarkable, remarkable industry that we've been able to do that in. But Jeff, I want to close on this. You've read the books, you're listening to the podcasts, you're doing the work, you're 60 years old, you've had a remarkable life, you've had a remarkable journey, you've been all over the world, you've had a lot of fun, you've had tremendous experiences, you made a great living for that matter. Why should someone look at network marketing, not only as their plan B, but maybe their plan A going forward to experience some of the things that you have?
Well, I think first and foremost, being your own boss is the first thing. I mean, yeah, you can have a great job and get paid a lot of money. I mean, the guy that's going to take over now for Jeff Bezos at Amazon, he's going to get paid a lot of money, but he's also going to work 24 hours a day. And it's taken him years and years and years and years and years to get there. 99 people out of 100 are never going to do that. When you're your own boss, you can, I know it sounds cliche-ish, but you can go to bed when you're tired and you can wake up when you're rested. I don't have an alarm clock. Yeah, okay. I set a call at 9 o'clock. I set a Zoom at 8:30. I set a call at noon. Yeah, you have to get up to be on that. But that's you doing what you want. And I'm not saying anything negative about a job, but you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, because anything, especially now we've learned from COVID, anything can happen. If you look at any great investor, if you said, I got $100,000 to invest, nobody will tell you to put it all in one stock, into one cryptocurrency, into one option. They'll tell you to spread it out. Because why? You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Having a job, whether you make $1,000 a month or $100,000 a month, okay, and having no other source of income in case that job ends, whether it's the company's fault, the owner's fault, or the world's fault, like COVID. COVID's changed the world now. If you have a plan B and God forbid something happens to your plan A, you got something to fall back on. Network marketing is a very simple business. It's not easy. It takes work. That's why it's called network marketing. But anybody can do it. Anybody. Not everybody will, but anybody can. And you can start it for very little money, and it's part-time. Buying a McDonald's franchise takes a lot of money and time. Okay. Buying a Pizza Hut franchise takes a lot of money and time. Network marketing doesn't take a lot of time. It's part-time. You got 6 million people in America doing network marketing. 5 million are part-time. And it doesn't take a lot of money. You're not inventorying and warehousing. You're not Amazon. You literally don't have to buy anything and can build a business almost with any company today with a cell phone or a computer or a tablet or a laptop. And I guess the last thing about it, John, is it gives you choices. Life's all about choices. Wanting to be able to do what you want. And if you've got a supplemental income, and maybe it turns into a plan B for some of you, like it did for us, starts with a plan B, goes to a plan A, but it gives you options, and it gives you choices, and it gives you a chance to do what you want. You may listen to this and say, I got zero interest to leave. I live in Chicago. I'm happy. I never want to leave. I never want to travel. That's great. There's going to be something you do want, though. There's got to be something that you do want. And it gives you options and choices to be able to do. We like to travel. It was a coincidence when we met, okay, that he had built business around the world and traveled. I traveled. Not everybody wants to travel. Some people like cars. Some people like clothes. Some people like boats. Some people like airplanes. But what I can tell you is that network marketing gives you choices. And at the end of the day, that's what life's about, is having choices to do what you want, when you want, how you want, and with whom you want.
Wow. Well, Jeff, we'll end there. Thank you so much. Your words of wisdom are timeless, as always, and appreciate spending this time together. And, this is John Solider. This is the podcast called Leave Nothing to Chance, based on the book, Leave Nothing to Chance, and the principles in Leave Nothing to Chance, which is available on Amazon, in addition to our other books, Moving Up 2020, and also available, by the way, in Spanish. So if you're listening and you speak Spanish, we've got them in Spanish as well. So thank you so much. And our next podcast is going to be with Arlene Lowy, another industry icon, long-term friend of mine for some 40 years as well. So look forward to that as well. Jeff, thanks so much, buddy. Have a great day.
Thanks, John.